Neat. Cool. So my name's Luke Pena. I'm a web developer, and I have 1 day left before I'm graduating from Prime Digital Academy. Yeah. Shout out to Triffid. Thank you. All right. So prior to going to Prime, I had done a lot of game development work, and part of that involved doing some freelance pixel art work. And I found that it was really hard for me to make the things that I was doing online stand out from other people. So I had this idea like a year and a half, 2 years ago, to make some sort of visualizer that would make my art stand out online, but I didn't have really the tools to kind of make that at the time. So the minute we got to the jQuery section of Prime, I was like, wait, I think I have just about enough to make this work. So I built a demo version of it at the time, and then later on fleshed it out when we had our solo capstone projects. So the idea behind it, I'm just going to go ahead and open up one of the frames, is that you are able to upload layers of an image that then react to the movement of the mouse across the screen. And I intend to also eventually make this react to the gyroscope within mobile devices. So the intent was that myself, other pixel artists, people developing video games that need to want to showcase a more standout experience of their screenshots, or other artists trying to get gigs, would be able to present their artwork online in a more dynamic, live way. Whoopsie daisy. So the idea is that you can download the JavaScript file from here, just click export, and then you're given all the code to just get started on it. So it was the idea of streamlining that process so that the artist could present their work in a fun sort of way. So I'm going to open up a different frame. So this is sort of, that one was exemplifying what you can do vertically, up and down, that sort of movement, where this one is showing you can almost move throughout a scene. So it gives you powers being able to rearrange the frames easily enough. For example, add effects to things. For example, the lights on the front have a blur effect on it. Or, so this is what it looks like before. Whoopsie. Let me open that up again. So this is what it looks like without the effects, but I'm able to add these sort of live effects on top of the image as we're moving through it. So the way that this movement works is actually just using a couple very simple common tools that most people have at the beginning of development. So if I unreveal what's going on behind the scenes, all that's happening here is that you have divs with backgrounds, with positioning attributes that are being calculated as you move your mouse across to push them off of the top and side edges of the screen in order to react. So it's iterating through it at a given frame rate to sort of calculate its movement and approach to the point that it believes that it should be. So kind of future plans I want to do with this is kind of make it a little bit more user-friendly for artists. So translating instead of from a millisecond delay between frames to literal frames per second, or making it more performant by bringing it over into CSS Grid. So I know that most of you are probably not pixel artists. I don't know how many of you are game developers. So I don't know how useful this tool is to you specifically, but I guess the takeaway that I think is interesting from this project is that a lot of times when people, I think, first see this kind of movement, they imagine that there must be something more complicated like CSS Canvas or some sort of crazy draw functions going on behind the scenes. But the reality of it is that it's made from very basic tools used in maybe ways they weren't intended to be used, but just thinking outside the box with the basic tools that everybody has access to. So I think it's worth taking the resources that you have at hand, and imagining the ways that they can maybe be broken and maybe be stretched a little bit. So I have a hard drive and a code pen that's a graveyard of silly ideas that never happened. But every once in a while, I think you get to make something cool and maybe something beautiful, and I think that's a really fun goal to sort of reach for. So yeah, that's the project I made. I plan to keep on working on this thing. I'm just about done with Prime, but I plan to work on this further afterwards, so I'm kind of moving it more towards like that job hunt time, which is a good time. So like if you're interested in like more about this project, or if you do pixel art or make video games, or just like find this compelling in some way, I'd be happy to talk about this and hear about the kind of cool stuff that you're making. So yeah, thank you for listening.